I am Tatar Khan and let's talk about Orcs Must Die game, and specifically why I think it is a great game. The game came out in 2011 and it was liked for being a fun game. You run around, set up traps and kill orcs. It's a simple premise. The graphics are cartoonish, so overall it doesn't appear to be anything special about this game. So let's mention some things that make this game special. It is a tower defense game, but it uses traps, so instead of building towers, players are actually building traps to kill the orcs. The game is played in third-person perspective, and that has been done before. Player characters participating in the defense personally, that also has been done before, but now character can be killed, and that was something new. Finally, story is told in the game while it is being played, something that was not really a staple of the tower defense genre. However, none of these things would put this game in the category of great. To be great, in my opinion, the game has to make the player think about the message or narrative that the game is providing. Most games have a narrative and a story in which usually good triumphs over evil. Simple. So stories like that are usually straightforward and where narratives do not require much reflection back at them. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to warn you that there will be spoilers because I will be talking about the plot of the game. So, let's go on. Now, looking at Orcs Must Die, at first glance there is no message beyond that Orcs must die. If anything, this game seems to not have any message in its simple narrative. However, it does. The game presents us with a protagonist who is very much immaturish. The game's manual, which is more of a comic book, provides the backstory of the protagonist. The backstory further supports the fact that the protagonist is immature. As the narrative continues in the game, there's actual character development happening. The protagonist begins to mature. Now that becomes more obvious closer to the end of the game, specifically that the narrative is actually happening or there's some kind of character progression going on. The protagonist starts out reveling in the fact that he's slaughtering orcs. But as the game goes on, he begins to realize that the task is not all fun and games. Finally, the protagonist makes a decision that culminates his journey into maturity. He shuts down the magical rifts and puts away his weapons to start farming. And yes, I know in the second game he's working in the mines, but the outro of the first game shows him living in a cottage with a farm next to it. So I'm going to go with the fact that he started farming. Maybe at some point between game 1 and 2, farming did not work out. He started working in the mines. Now, this ending could be seen as a protagonist putting away his toys and living the magical world of imagination. The world was filled with elves, orcs, and all those fantasy creatures. He leaves all that behind. Instead, he is now, as an adult, lives in a regular world, doing a mundane thing, farming. And that has been the plot of, let's say, I would say even all the early fantasy literature that was written for younger market. But the game just does not end there. It also outlines the consequences of the decision to shut down the magical rifts. Magical rifts were sources of the magical energy that was used to make life easier for everybody in that world. Magic was used for healing, it was used for weather control, even advanced construction required magic. So without magic, world just lost all those things. But it is no longer under attack by orcs, trolls, ogres, etc., all those fantasy creatures. So the game in the end implies the question, was the choice correct or not? Or as the game puts it, as a courageous or stupid choice. And that's where the game is leaving it to the player to think about it. And that's the reason I think what makes this game great. Thank you for watching and for listening. If you like this video, please like it. If you didn't like it, don't like it, and please subscribe.